Hey, how are you guys today? We are live on Instagram as well as YouTube. We're going to be doing just a general Q&A, probably mostly nutrition and health questions and whatever current events you guys would like to talk about. I'm just getting more and more curious about what's actually going to happen over the next few months to a year, and mainly because I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to continue this working out bodybuilding nonsense or not. But how are you guys today? Hopefully this isn't too late for some European viewers. Hopefully you guys get to join me today. Today was a good tanning day. Not in the northern hemisphere. In late September, the UV index isn't really that high. I think towards the end of August is, even then you're not really getting too much UVB, that is. So yeah, I mean, if you're a bit further south in the States, then maybe you can still get some sun. I could really use a vacation to Miami myself. You know what damage are you guys talking about? The sun in the chat. Can't tan with copper deficiency. I mean, if you can probably tan if you're getting some sun in your diet, but it might make your symptoms a little worse if your vitamin D is really high. How's my jaw? I mean, the swelling was kind of down. Just 2 weeks after the surgery. It's just my sleep still isn't that much better. I'm looking forward to I mean, I don't know. If I stopped the bodybuilding and eating so much food, I would probably be able to fix my sleep problems. But on the other hand, I also want to kind of get to the farm, or at least move to a place where the Wi-Fi, the EMF isn't that high. Does Wi-Fi clothing work? It can help to some degree, but you can't really protect your head. The bed canopies are pretty good to sleep in because they completely remove the Wi-Fi and they're grounded. The clothing helps a little bit. But I haven't really been watching any news lately, and every time I go on Twitter, it's just a bunch of like people just circle jerking, pushing the narrative, and you kind of get sent, and all these people, are kind of in the same club, and they're just deceiving everyone else. And I mean, I think my Twitter has probably been, I've tweeted pretty consistently for over a year now, and I haven't really gained any followers, but I mean, dealing with the censorship and the shadow banning on every platform isn't fun. But it is a bit irritating to see all of these secret society clowns pretending that the virus is real and just circle jerking each other the whole time. How much more weight are you trying to gain? I don't really know. I'm just kind of rolling with the bodybuilding stuff for now, because I think I'm going to launch my workout routine sometime next month, because I'm not going to, I just can't wait another year with this nonsense. I mean, if I knew all this bullshit was going to happen in the first place, I wouldn't have even started the bodybuilding stuff. And now that I finally got the physique that's pretty much better, at least equal to, if not better than, the majority of other influencers on YouTube, I feel like I should use it as an opportunity to try to gain a larger viewer base. And then if that doesn't really go so well, then I maybe just stick with it a little while and keep trying. But I don't really know, because all that really happened was, and I think I went over this, when I started the weightlifting stuff, everyone was kind of making fun of me and saying just the same thing, saying my form was terrible, I don't know what I'm talking about, And then after I actually put on the muscle, then they just changed their tune to, oh, well, your form is still terrible, and the only reason you're muscular is because you're using steroids, which is completely ridiculous. So the people that are being paid to harass me basically just choose a different thing to try to discredit me on every single video every day, and that's the theme I've noticed. And it's difficult to get rid of all of them because they keep making new accounts. Are you eating as much as you can or as much as you feel comfortable? I usually don't stuff myself. Do you feel better now that you don't have the metal in your jaw? The if I use a cell phone or if I'm in a high Wi-Fi environment, then I don't notice it. It doesn't happen as quickly, but it still happens. Does the process of making the high glucose honey detract any of the beneficial enzymes in honey? There's no, I mean, the enzymes in honey aren't really that high, and I'm kind of tired of hearing people talk about enzymes in honey when they don't even know what enzyme is in honey. Like, you're talking about, okay, honey has beneficial enzymes, but you don't even know what enzymes are in honey, and you don't even know what it is. That's kind of like mainstream health bullshit, where people just talk about like, oh, there's so many antioxidants in that food and this and that, or they're talking about how beneficial it is to take something, and they don't even know why it's beneficial to take something or what it does in the body. So a lot of people will just use terms like that, or try to sound smart just to establish their own credibility without actually explaining what I think I talked about honey in my enzyme video. How many food digesting enzymes do we produce? I don't know the specific number. You have the basic ones, each for protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Protein has a couple of different enzymes. Fat has one. Carbohydrates have one. And why is that, Sam? What happened there? What was I gonna say? Then there's the other enzymes like lactase, sucrase, the ones that are very specific to like milk, sucrose that's in certain foods like rice. Depends genetically. Not everyone produces those in large amounts, to my understanding. What kind of non-carnivore foods are you looking to add to your diet? I haven't really decided too much yet. There's not a lot of options in the supermarket. Selenium iodine importance. Yeah, I think there's a reason that most like liver healing protocols use selenium in them. Wild fish collagen, is there a good quality out there? Most of the time, whenever anything is made into a powder supplement, the reason you would take it is because you can't get it from other sources. So, when I made my collagen is like agrochemical waste video a couple weeks back, I basically made the point, well, there's a lot of negatives in this processed crap, and why are you taking it if you can just eat a normal food? So, that being said, I do consume things that are technically processed and highly refined, but it's for a reason. So if I take a copper supplement or a magnesium supplement isn't that refined, but the purpose of that is because you're getting something you can't normally get. What happened to the emu oil? I'm trying to get the stuff to make my supplements soon. When, how, and why did you discover the carnivore diet? I was thinking of doing just like a kind of general update video sometime next week, but I forgot to my brain's been a little fried since last week, and I forgot to take notes on what I wanted to talk about. But I basically read a couple books, and I decided that a keto paleo diet was the healthiest one. He was trying to work out how you're getting the fructose out. Oh, he's he's jealous of my idea. And was a little confused because he thought you were using it as a sweetener and not a source of energy. I'm kind of using it for both. I mean the you it might cause problems with some people if they consume when some people consume pure glucose without fiber. Sometimes it does cause like SIBO issues. but uh, if you like consumed the problem is there's no source of refined glucose that has fiber with it, so it helps as like an adjunct to a meal where like you don't have to eat as much, you don't need as much. If a bodybuilder ate their regular steak and potatoes meal, it would be healthier if they removed some of the potatoes and added some of the glucose. And ideally, if you could tolerate it, just using the glucose as the only source would be better. What makes mussels a good food source? I mean, they're pretty high in vitamins and minerals, and they tend to have minerals that you don't normally get on a regular carnivore diet. Yeah, basically, when I came out with that nature's glucose, um, there were a bunch of people that, again, there's the group of people that just go on my videos every day to harass me and gaslight me. So they're like a little. These people are irritated because if they had the idea and knew how to do it, they would probably put someone on the Joe Rogan podcast to sell it to make $1 million. That's what they want to do. There's like digestible equivalents of each macronutrient. That glucose honey that we figured out was basically the best option for the carbohydrate component, but for the fat component, the fat gets broken down into shorter chain fatty acids, and then things like that's what's in the MCT oil. But MCT oil is pretty refined and processed, and there are carbohydrate like I'm sure everyone who's a bodybuilder has heard of dextrose powder, and dextrose powder is just highly processed agrochemicals in it with a lot of solvents and chemicals that they use to process it. And then for the protein component, the amino acids that they make, they use some type of like unnatural fermentation process. So if you're trying to follow some type of like, it's called the elemental diet, which is where you consume foods that don't really require enzymes to digest. So there's a way to do it, but if you consume what's accessible, there's nothing really healthy for the most part. Can you patent it? I don't really think a patent is I don't really think a patent is useful in this scenario. I think if you bring the product to market first and then someone else tries to do the same exact thing, then you can just sue the hell out of them for all their profits. If someone is selling a product that like, it's a very unique scenario because it's a product that never existed before, and it's a process that no one else has figured out. So by us doing that, it's pretty easy to sue someone else for doing it. With other products, you can't really do that because you could argue, well, it's like a recipe, it's easily accessible and that type of stuff. But again, there's no real other product like that's been out that people have been able to replicate. Look at creatine, no one can patent that. Well, no, I mean, if that's something that is very general. I mean, creatine is what, I don't know how they make creatine, but a lot of this stuff is so popular and so well used that you can't really argue that you're the first person to bring it to market. Coffee plus your glucose honey plus MCT oil for a pre-workout. I mean, I've used MCT oil before, and I don't think it's completely horrible to take, but it's definitely not a healthy fat. I mean, to process coconut oil into MCT oil, they do have to use a bunch of chemicals and solvents and that type of stuff. How's the meat company doing? It's going pretty good. We have We're trying to push sales. We're spending some money on advertising. Um, we got a bunch of products in. We're staying consistent, and hopefully we can just continue to grow over the next few months before we get the farm. And then when we do get the farm property, I'm assuming the introduction of the eggs and the dairy are gonna increase the volume of sales substantially, and and then we'll really be we should start being able to profit and then using that money towards expanding the business. And then there's also the element we're gonna move the butchering operation out to the farm, so we'll save a lot of money on processing the animals too. Not many people watching the stream today. I mean, it's a combination of several things. It's I think the big part of it is I didn't live stream for like a month, and then when I started live streaming again, a bunch of imagine I don't live stream for a month and people start watching other people's live streams, and then those other people start just stealing my time slots. Not well, I mean, I've live streamed for the same time on certain days for years, and then they just stream at the same spot. It's difficult. It's kind of scummy, but what are you gonna do? Frank's honey is just glucose syrup. Well, first of all, I don't know what glucose syrup is, and if you buy our honey product, you can clearly see it's the glucose crystallization from the honey. Why coconut oil? Well, no, MCT oil is usually made from coconut. Researchers tested 134 products for 130 types of toxins and found that many protein powders contained heavy metals, lead, arsenic, cadmium, and mercury, BPA pesticide linked to cancer and health conditions. Yeah, I would assume that almost all of the whey protein from the United States is full of those chemicals because they're making whey protein from feedlot cows. That's why we made sure that's why we bought whey protein from New Zealand, because we don't want American whey protein. How was your reaction to the new whey protein you have? It wasn't that bad. I mean, I've never really reacted that well to dairy, but the whey wasn't too bad. Might as well just get maple syrup. Well, no, the point of the honey glucose product is that the majority of it is glucose, and it doesn't have a lot of fructose to stress the liver. Do you think that meds like prednisone can interfere with the process of fixing leaky gut? I mean, if you're taking prednisone, I don't really know what to tell you. Like, if you're taking prednisone, your understanding of health and what things you should be doing, and just I guess the mechanisms of medication are pretty. Hopefully you can find someone or talk to someone that can sit down and explain to you why you shouldn't be taking that drug and what type of diet you should be following. Maple syrup is high fructose. Well, maple syrup is it's pretty processed too, because maple tree sap is liquid. It's like a water almost, and it's heavily boiled down. In order to make maple syrup, the tree sap is heavily boiled down. Whey most likely is also no. That's what I said. The whey products in the States are not that great, not reliable, and unfortunately, with the marketing terms they can use in the United States, they can take like basically conventional feedlot whey and market it as grass fed. Doctors are mostly shills. Good luck finding an open-minded one. Well, I mean, to my understanding, in order to be a doctor, you have to you have to be a Mason. So, all doctors are basically in a secret society, and they protect their own regardless of what happens. A doctor will never kind of tell you to get off a medication, regardless, even if the doctor isn't prescribing the medication themselves. Prednisone prevents collagen synthesis and will stop healing. You'll end up getting intestinal injury. Yeah, I haven't looked into the specific mechanisms on prednisone. Any updated blood test? I should probably get some blood work soon. I donated blood every week for like the past 4 or 5 weeks. So I don't think my ferritin is high. Doctors also love blaming the patient instead of actually finding the solution. No, when I was having over like the past 2.5 years, and just to reiterate, ever since I went on that show MasterChef when I came back in this over 2 years ago now, and I never slept well again. What was I getting at? I couldn't like I tried to figure out what my health problems were for about a year, and I went to so many doctors and not one of them knew what was wrong until and even my viewers, I've probably got dozens and dozens of emails making suggestions of what could have been wrong with my health, and no one knew. And then I think one person suggested the iron eventually, and that's when I figured it out. But it was over pretty much 2 years of me suffering before someone thought it was iron related. So all those doctors I went to, all those the different tests they ran, all the blood work, none of them were able to even getting close to figuring out what was wrong. And you don't have to really go far on YouTube to see there's been several most of the doctors in the popular keto doctor and the popular carnivore doctor, they tend to copy my videos. So if the doctors that have a social media presence are copying my videos, then we know what's really going on. They don't do research themselves. They steal information from other people, and all they care about is their own self-promotion and self-profit. Can one pull off a low-carb meat-based diet with high protein instead of fat? My gallbladder goes crazy when I eat a lot of fat. Have you looked into glucose syrup? Is it similar to your product? I think I've explained several times that these glucose syrups and dextrose powders are highly processed and they require chemicals and solvents. And in addition to requiring chemicals and solvents, they add antifungal chemicals. I think it's called I can't remember what it's called. I think it's sulfur hydroxide or something, but it's an anti-mold. So a lot of these glucose chemicals are not made for like human supplement consumption really. These high glucose powders are made for like food additives and for textures in certain baked goods. So they're made on a very large scale, and they're not really made with health in mind. And even the ones that are organic, a lot of times they're made from tapioca, and tapioca has a lot of cyanide in it, and it's not something you can consume in large amounts every day. The liver has to process fructose, and if you look at, I mean, I don't remember. I've probably spoken about the fructose. I'm sure I've spoken about the fructose liver mechanism in one of my videos. But the two things off the top of my head, the liver has to process fructose, so it certainly stresses the liver, and fructose is usually correlated with fatty liver disease when you look in studies. Usually, though, well, basically to get fatty liver, you have to consume fructose. Do you think that your iron overload was caused from your liver function being impaired from Accutane vitamin A? There's definitely a tie-in. Vitamin A and iron toxicity in the liver. I don't really want to. One thing, I don't really want to talk about that until I figure a couple more things out. But what I will say is, the liver stores many different vitamins. So when you follow an imbalanced diet, your liver will store. Your liver will tend to store what your diet is predominant in. So if you're trying to fix an issue from consuming too much of a vitamin, or you've been following a certain diet for a period of time, your liver is basically storing those vitamins in excess if you're deficient in something. So when you switch over to, maybe you were deficient in B vitamins, maybe you were deficient in vitamin K, when you switch over to other vitamins, your liver will start uptaking those vitamins and removing the other ones. So a lot of it is about nutrient synergy, but you have to kind of understand. No one really talks about what the liver actually does. It stores vitamins, water soluble and fat soluble. All fatty liver studies involve PUFAs combined with. I think you can get fatty liver without polyunsaturated fatty acids, but the studies usually all right. So to rephrase that, in order to induce fatty liver in rats over a short period of time, they generally have to use like soybean oil or something high omega-6. But over the course of like a longer period of time in a human being, there's a lot of other lifestyle factors that can slowly cause the fatty liver. Like it would take a long time to give a rat fatty liver by giving it alcohol, but eventually the rat would probably die from something else before it got the fatty liver. Frank, from what I've read, your body won't store excess iron unless you have a genetic defect, but I'm sure those studies weren't with people on carnivore. Well, I mean, I've had a lot of people, a lot of my clients, and not actually a lot of my clients. Maybe I've only had a handful of people that have actually consulted with me. The thing is, a lot of people on carnivore keto diets, they like to do things for themselves. So most of the time I just get an email. I'll usually get an email saying, "Oh, Frank, thanks for making videos on iron overload. I figured out I had iron overload problems, and now I donated blood. I'm feeling a lot better." I've probably gotten, a few dozen of those emails, but usually there's other elements you have to fix, not just doing that. That is one, the donating blood stuff is one component that you can fix, but I've gotten a lot of those emails. I've seen a lot of people on, what you need to understand is, all of these carnivore dieters or secret society members, they're pushing an agenda. And the way you can figure that out is just ask any of them about 5 grams towers or the Toyota Corolla pandemic. They won't say a word about it. But what you'll notice is the majority of the carnivore and keto doctors or people that are the shills, the ones that are very popular will push the narrative that there is no such thing as iron overload, and that iron overload is a genetic defect. But there's a couple of smaller carnivore and keto channels that are explaining, okay, this is how you fix iron overload, this is how you do this is how you do that. And it's been very well recognized that and if you just look through posts and comments on videos, that people have experienced iron overload, and people have experienced things like histamine intolerance and certain health issues on a carnivore diet, a keto diet, these types of high animal foods based diets that are not balanced. They play both sides of the coin. They don't want to, obviously someone with the majority of the carnivore diet following base isn't going to start warning people about iron toxicity, because the solution for iron toxicity makes them less money. You got to eat this food, you got to eat that food. The solutions for iron toxicity are basically, you have to take certain supplements, you have to move away from a meat-based diet. And if the goal of the carnivore diet is for the Texas Cattlemen's Association to sell feedlot beef, they're not going to say a word about it. They're just going to brush it off like they brush off any other health problem. Just like they brush off the estrogenic chemical downsides of feedlot animal products. But most of them use steroids anyway, so that doesn't matter. I will look into paleo keto. Just want to make the transformation into carnivore easier. I mean, if you want to look into carnivore, I have a video how to get started on the carnivore diet that explains the most important point, that you want to get to the fat to protein ratio correct. Morley is wrong about iron and copper. Iron isn't always the issue for everyone, and telling people to eat oysters for copper will make things. Yeah, the Morley Robbins, the root cause protocol. The idea is correct that there's an imbalance between minerals and certain nutrients. The idea is correct, but his solutions for the problem, yeah, it can make things a lot worse for certain people. And does he talk about donating blood? Well, if Rat Boy says something, you probably want to figure out who said it before him, because he never has any original thoughts of his own. The the interesting thing about the word Freemason is Freemason means like Freemasonry. So Freemasonry means they inherit the world, basically. They didn't build it themselves. And that's one thing that Freemasons are very good at: stealing other people's ideas and using their connections and censorship to make money off of their ideas. He talks heavily about blood donation. I haven't looked into. Morley is also wrong on vitamin A, recommending huge amounts. No, because most people have plenty of vitamin A stored in their liver already. So you don't need it. You probably need other vitamins in general. Because they found ancient civilization stuff and covered up in history. I think most of history is fake. George Floyd was amazing. Yeah, I mean you can, if you dig a little deeper, you can look. I mean, I did a few videos on the BLM bullshit a few months back, heavily censored on my channel. The George Floyd killing, completely staged. Everything's been completely staged. It's just the BLM movement is the most obvious staged one that has kind of evolved into this ridiculous shit. How to confuse my brainwashed mom that me doing the carnivore diet is not a problem. She says I'm radical and insists me to eat vegetables and fruits. Usually when someone acts like that, they have very little understanding of nutrition. So if you just ask your mom something simple like, okay, why should I eat vegetables and fruits? She's probably going to say something very dogmatic like, oh, well, they're good. Obviously, they're good for you. No, if she can't explain why fruits and vegetables are good for you, then that's tough. But then on top of that, if you can add, well, what about all of the chemicals they spray on? Yeah, I mean, or high quality organic certain fruits and vegetables aren't necessarily bad to eat. But if you bring that up to your mother, then I think that'll definitely stir. The more educated you are, the easier you can have a conversation with someone and explain the various components of nutrition of why you shouldn't eat certain foods. Good point, but why donate blood when they do sorcery over people's blood? Because they have also been poisoning the food supply with iron and causing other nutrient deficiencies to give people liver dysfunction. Is raw milk worth getting if it is fed some corn? I mean, I don't have the farm yet myself, but I'm curious if there is a nutrient synergy thing that needs to be done with cattle, where if the cattle, I wonder if the cattle get too much grass without enough sun, if there's an imbalance in their tissue. So on one hand, it might be beneficial to feed a cattle some type of organic grain or high quality grain. Isn't it funny how expert like well, yeah, a lot of these, so a lot of these Masons, they pop out of nowhere and now they're one of the most influential dietary influencers. That's very connected, very connected. I'm telling you, these people are members of secret societies. Their parents, their fathers are members of secret societies. They have a lot of money to do whatever the fuck they want. So if you had enough money to do whatever the fuck you want, what would you spend most of your youth doing? Probably traveling, exploring, spending money, doing whatever you wanted to, playing sports. If you look at, there's consistencies between all of these dietary influencers. There's the people that weren't members of secret, that weren't like high level, all right, so let me divide this into two categories. High level secret society members that are obvious, that had very, very easy lives, then they became doctors and basically became famous overnight. Very clear that their lives are pretty much handed to them. And then there's the other group of people that maybe they weren't members of secret societies, maybe they got recruited, maybe they were lower level members, maybe they're not as good at their job. Those people usually ex-military for the most part. So there's two, and then there's there's another ex-vegan component that can tie into there. If you notice, again, I say that, I feel like I say this every single live stream, every single dietary influencer right now, it was either ex-military, high level famous secret society family probably, or ex-Illuminati member, because most of the vegans are different secret societies. I don't really want to explain this because it requires a lot of backstory, and you have to understand that they're already, when people say the 1%, the elite, when people complain, oh, I don't get that job because I don't have connections, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about how basically members of secret societies, and if you're not a member of a secret society, you don't get the good stuff for the most part. So what about the ketos people? Honestly, you would have to like, I would just, if you mentioned a specific person and who they were, I could speculate on. I mean, I could speculate on what level they were in a secret society, but for the most part, it's pretty obvious. You got to see, what the person's doing, what their level of income is. Traveling, living in California, going to medical school isn't affordable for the average person. Well, no, you don't have to look at. It would be cool to have a video on explaining secret societies. My channel's already getting so heavily censored. I think that would be the nail in the coffin if I started talking about secret societies. Do you have any proof about secret societies? Yeah, I do. Maybe you fucking retards shouldn't have plagiarized my information, and I wouldn't have found out about it. I think I said this last week. The only reason I found out about secret societies and these people that were running the New World Order bullshit is because I couldn't figure out why don't any of these carnivore, back before my channel was popular, and the carnivore diet was on Joe Rogan and all that stuff. I was like, all right, well, I've been carnivore for the longest period of time. Why can't I get on Joe Rogan? I've been carnivore for the longest period of time. Why don't these people want to talk to me? Why don't they want me on their podcast? And then what really got me thinking was, hold on, this guy literally just plagiarized like 3 of my videos word for word, and everyone's defending him. What's going on here? And someone taught one of my and I forgot how it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious. So I figured out that all of these people were either harassing me or defending this guy for plagiarizing my information, or they were just working together against me. And then I found out separately that the secret societies and the symbolism and that type of stuff. And then I found a video of I can't remember what the video was, but Corn Faker was it was really strange video. Corn Faker was sitting with this Asian girl, and he was her mentor. So obviously secret society shit. And I saw that video and I was like, what's going on here? So that's how I found out about that. But it's hard. You can't really talk about it. And if people don't understand or know that secret societies exist, you have to kind of let them try to figure it out themselves. Is Dr. Berg being used for depopulation? I don't watch Dr. Berg's videos. I'm kind of tired of most live streams turning into talking about this Freemason secret society nonsense, but whenever someone brings up whenever someone brings up another carnivore diet influencer, another nutrition influencer on YouTube, any fitness personality, I mean, David Lade was a great example of that for the past nonsense to do with the vegan diet. They are all members of secret societies trying to push an agenda, trying to make money for themselves. They don't care about you. That's the point. They do not care about you. And they will say or do anything they will say the most horrible stuff about other people. They will lie through their teeth. They will steal other people's information. Abby Sharp, definitely. Abby Sharp kind of, honestly, the Abby Sharp stuff kind of creeps me out, how popular she is and how very high level secret society stuff. And this is just a very small corner of the secret society nonsense. The whole dietary community is kind of a joke, considering that the secret societies are the people behind the New World Order agenda. So it's obviously, arguing that grain-fed meat has estrogen in it versus, them making you wear a mask for 6 months and staying locked inside your homes are too drastically, that's drastically escalating from dietary stuff. But it is important because this vegan and carnivore nonsense ties into the food supply chain and them controlling the choices of what we have to eat. Fish with vitamin D cause headaches. I think the toxins in fish on top of the nutrient profile can be very stressful for some people. I was reading a post. Someone sent me a tweet that the factory that was researching 5 grams in China got burned down, and there were people joking in the comments, why didn't the building collapse under itself? Like they were making 9/11 jokes on the video. Well, why didn't the building collapse within 2 minutes of being on fire? Low folate levels, suggestions to increase. I would just get an L-methylfolate supplement and take it a couple times a week for a few months. See how you feel. Europe has tons of food shortages. China is buying us out while third world is invading. Steel beams. Yeah, I don't know. How can we destroy and dismantle secret societies? What can we do? Well, that's not really a good question to ask, because once you understand what the world is, you're kind of like, all right, that's kind of a dumb question, because these people that run these secret societies, they literally wrote history. They started America. These people that run secret societies have every single thing you think, you see, every single thing in your world, what your perception of the world is, was written by these secret society members. So at this point, I don't believe anything. I don't unless I see it with my own two eyes, I don't give a shit. And then it could be with all this new 5 grams bullshit. It might just be a hologram at this point. So my basic advice to people is don't believe anything, because chances are it's fake. People talk about, oh, is the world flat? Is the world a globe? I don't know. I wouldn't believe any of them. People talk about what events happened in the past. I wouldn't believe any of that shit. Anything before, and even and the what actually happened when in these world wars and all the Spanish flu and all this bullshit and nonsense, they killed Jesus and destroyed Rome. Well, who knows how far back? Basically, what I'm saying is, who knows how far back these secret society crazies have had control over everyone? So, who knows? History is not history. History has been written by these people, and just small, like isolating small events and trying to. You guys are saying it in the chat right now, like the Holocaust stuff, the moon landing. Those are very, very mean to me. Those are very menial, insignificant things when you're isolating specific events, when reality is they probably just rewrote history themselves. I saw a video a couple months, I don't remember how, maybe 2-3 months ago. I was watching a video about footage from the like, I don't know, I think it was early 1900s, and it clearly was filmed on. It's funny how in all of these old films they blow up a bunch of dust. Like, what? Why the fuck are they blowing up dust? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Basically, the film footage that was allegedly from this era was not. It's filmed with modern technology, and the real kicker in those, what really sold me was in those old videos, people were making fucking like secret society hand signs. They were making secret society hand signs. And I guess this is taking a step back, but one reason I also figured out about the Masons and stuff was they banned me from Reddit. Like, they banned me from, first I got banned from all of the carnivore and keto diet subreddits. You couldn't mention my name. And then I cannot make a Reddit account. Like, my name, Frank Tufano, is banned from Reddit. Like, I am not allowed on Reddit anymore. So the fact that all the moderators on every subreddit were against me, like, obviously there's some inside shit going on. But again, most of these people are just low-level Masons, just again, and I've said this before, most of these people are just low-level secret society pawns that are doing their master's bidding for their mediocre paycheck. And yeah, some of them are getting a mediocre paycheck, some of them are living in a mansion, but the point is, they are deceiving the masses for some type of monetary reward. Salvation comes from Christ and adhering to God's natural law. No, but they have deceived people on what God is and what natural law is. The right now, Christianity is being used to control people, to get people to believe that some fake person is going to come save them, as opposed to them saving themselves. Maybe this is why they're targeting seniors with Corolla, so they rewrote that history. They don't have to. The thing is, when you think about all the stuff they're doing, they don't really have to do stuff like that. Do they have to kill everyone to rewrite history? No, because they control the media and everyone just believes what's in the news every day. A lot of the theories about why they're doing certain things don't make sense, because it's like, well, they don't have to do that because they have so much control anyway. Dude, they're all looking to be able to pay the mortgage and buy dinner. Well, no. If you think about what the state of the average person is now, most people would be fortunate to have enough to pay their, not right now with this Toyota Corolla destroying everyone's livelihood. People would be happy to have enough to pay their rent. People would be happy to be able to feed their family. Poverty and the food shortages and all that type of stuff is just getting worse and worse and worse. So if you go up to someone and say, hey, would you deceive everyone else just to have food and family? Yeah, they would. Now they're not even they're just basically doing it to survive now. You're doing something right when you get banned. Yeah, two of my videos got taken down. One, and a lot of this live stream is me repeating myself, but I haven't really put all of this stuff together in one live stream. So one video was the first one that was taken down was when I went to the hospitals and they were empty in April. That got taken down. Literally, and that was crazy because all I did was I filmed the streets of New York City and I filmed the empty hospital tents, and that was it. That's all I did, and they took the video down. And I didn't say like, oh, this is fake. I just showed, hey, the streets are empty. And then the second video that was taken down, which there's some fat ugly dude at the CIA watching my live stream right now, drooling over his keyboard. I made a video titled Out of Shadows documentary is a CIA psyop. And I basically explained this is fake bullshit. Everything's fake bullshit, just like QAnon is fake bullshit. And they took that video down too. So they don't like it when I point out their They're nonsense. And then I spent on one, and I mean, this kind of got brushed under the rug, but when I made those BLM protest videos, I spent like several $1,000s of my own money on flyers to hand out to people, warning them about radiation and stuff. And I think I basically just handed out flyers to secret society members because those were the people that were attending the protests, playing actors. No, Frank, by their own rules, they're not allowed to take truth away, only distract you and feed you other lies. I've explained that before. If you pay attention to what any of these secret society members say, they will release the truth. But then they'll say something like, and I've said this in the news stories. They'll actually tell you in the news story that, oh, this is a Kawasaki-like illness, and then they'll talk about the Toyota Corolla, and then they'll go back. And then the video I made that they're radiating our children and that stuff, where I talk about the doublespeak, that is them adhering to the natural law. But I think they're kind of skewing it. I think they're bullshitting the natural law. But by natural law, these evil people have to feed you some truth, but then they don't emphasize the importance of the truth. That's what I'm basically here doing, is emphasizing the importance of the truth they point out. So when here's an example. I get a letter from my water company every 2 or 3 months. Oh, the levels of chlorine are unsafe. Most people just don't care. They throw the fucking letter out and they drink their tap water. You get a letter from your water company every 2 months in New York saying the chlorine levels in the water are unsafe. That is basically them adhering to the natural law. They sent you a letter, and that letter, don't read that letter. Look at the general, this is what they're generally doing. A water company is sending you a letter and telling your water is not safe. Expand that tenfold. Your water is fucking poison. Don't drink it. That's what they're telling you. But what they've done is they've poisoned the food supply, the water supply. They've blasted people with radiation to the point where they've lost their judgment and ability to critically think and realize what's going on. All right, let me take a step back. Let's maybe get back to some nutrition questions. It's all connected. When did you first notice you're being lied to in nutrition? How do you connect the dots of being lied to in nutrition and conspiracy theories? Well, I mean, I was kind of on a keto paleo diet after reading some books about nutrition, and then I found out about the connection to the secret societies and conspiracy stuff when they started plagiarizing my information. Do you think people from the secret societies are watching the live stream at this moment? Yeah, I mean, usually they record the live stream. They probably record my live streams, and then there are probably some low-level people watching it right now, and mainly because those people are being paid to harass me and gaslight me in the comments. And then if I say anything interesting or say anything that is useful for a business idea, they will go and steal that business idea and talk about it several months from now. It's sickening how they put it in our face, but we just ignore the messages in general. No, I mean, they will literally throw it in your face, and people won't care. You don't have to look far and wide to see the truth. They're telling you the truth in the news. It's just people are so brainwashed they ignore the truth. People are so indoctrinated into fear and negativity that they only focus on the fear and the negative. Have you ever seen a dairy allergy from birth be cured? That's not a simple answer. There's multiple components that cause a dairy allergy. We see Americans as having a low IQ, but people don't understand it's because of fluoride. Yeah, I watched the there's like I used to be big into video games, and there's like an ongoing joke in the gaming community that European gamers are smarter than like North American gamers. Back with League of Legends, it was like by calling someone bad, you called them NA, like they're from North America. And then there were jokes that, oh well, if you play on Korean servers, you wouldn't, like the Koreans are really good. And it does have to do with the nutrition and the food they're getting. You think you're right. You think you're more important than you are. You aren't right about everything. You're listening to science that has been paid for by the secret society of elites. What are is this your feeble attempt at gaslighting? Lena, I think I remember your name. I'm going to ban you. I'm not actually listening to science of the elites. I don't know why you would even bring that up. That's what they do. They gaslight you. They try to get you to take something incorrect at face value. How Big Oil Conquered the World by James Corbett shows how it's all connected. What's your zodiac sign? I asked, I DM'd that vegan girl if she wanted to do a video on zodiac signs with me, but she ignored me. I sent her a smiley face too. Can mineral water cause calcium deposits? No, I mean, most people can benefit from the amount of calcium in mineral water. I wouldn't worry about it too much, as long as you're getting enough vitamin K2. I as well wrap this up soon. I woke up so late. I went to bed at 7 in the morning and I got up at like 3:30 and I didn't sleep that well. So I gotta go soon and actually do some stuff today. Frank Tufano, do you think everyone is a bisexual conspiracy? No, I think most people are straight. I did a video titled "A Vegan Diet Will Make You a Fairy Boy," and I should have titled the video "A Vegan Diet Will Make You Gay." If you give someone hormones at certain stages of development, they will become attracted to the opposite sex. So a gay male is basically someone who's been exposed to too much estrogen. A gay female is basically someone who has basically imbalanced hormones cause sexual attraction differences, and that's why when you give a woman estrogen, let me rephrase that. That's why when you give a male, even these trans people that are taking hormones, just go read about how they feel after taking hormones, and you'll see they get more manly or more womanly. Hormones will dictate what your sexual attraction is, but the majority of the population right now hasn't been poisoned to the point where 96% of the population is heterosexual. I don't know the specific statistics. My schedule's only been fucked up these past 2-3 months. I gotta try to get to bed earlier. I haven't been taking the copper supplement that much lately, Sam. I've taken it maybe once or twice a week. So if you guys have any more questions, let me know. I feel like half this live stream I was just talking. I was talking about the secret society stuff. Frank, do you have any pets? I started feeding my dog carnivore. Oh, well, actually, the Instagram live stream is about to end because there's a 1-hour limit. So we'll just continue on YouTube for a minute or two. Is 5 grams weakening our immune system, and what can we do to safeguard that? What people don't understand is Wi-Fi in general and the current 4G is already a huge issue with radiation. Even without the 5 grams, it's already a huge problem. You guys are not going to gaslight me into Christianity. I'm tired of this bullshit. I even had this fucking crazy lady write me letters of trying to convert me to Christian. And the only reason I remember is because the letter smelled so heavily of perfume that I didn't even open the letter. It was still in the envelope. And I wrapped the letter in like 3 Ziploc bags. And I put it in my garbage. And I could still smell it in my garage. I had to literally... The letter from this lady trying to gaslight me into Christianity was so perfumed that I literally had to throw it outside my house. Would you take glucose honey throughout the day or just before lifting if you're trying to bodybuild? I mean, sometimes I'll do both. Sometimes I'll take it with my meals, and sometimes I'll have it pre-workout. Sometimes I'll have a post-workout if I feel like I want it. If you understand who the Freemasons are, you have no choice but to be Christian. Christianity is not the opposite of the devil necessarily. But Instagram live stream is ending, guys, so we'll have to go on YouTube now. Okay. How can I buy your book? I live in Portugal. You could check on Amazon if you can buy it. How much vitamin D3 do you take? I got a lot of sun this summer. I haven't really been taking vitamin D. What do you do if someone is gaslighting you, Frank? I usually read the comment and realize they're gaslighting me, then I just ban them or ignore them. If someone's gaslighting you in person, that's a different story. Usually when someone gaslights you in person, they're going to keep trying to gaslight you, so you just want to ignore them and leave the conversation. Gaslighting in person is they're just going to repeat the same thing over and over again regardless of what you say. Opinion on Q link pendant. It's fake bullshit. Do you recommend K2 for everyone? Usually. So just a few more, just maybe 1 or 2 more minutes of questions, guys, or whatever you want to talk about, and then we'll go. No, I mean Christians keep trying to play the victim. Christians are always trying to play the victim to pretend like when you play the victim and when you pretend like people are against you, it kind of almost gives you credibility, and that's what Christians are trying to do. Christians are trying to say, "Hey, look at me, I'm so persecuted that hey, look at me, I'm so persecuted that I can that I'm the truth. Otherwise, why would people be against me? Why would people be against me, you know, if it wasn't real?" That's what they do with the controlled opposition, with the with all the diets too. You know, the vegans pretend to be controlled. It's funny because the vegans will pretend to be controlled opposition, like, oh look, everyone's against the vegan diet. Everyone's a big bad meat eater. Yet if you go on any fucking Reddit post about meat, or if you look in any mainstream news article, they're already saying meat is bad and they're promoting a plant-based diet. For a vegan to play the victim, like these Christians are playing the victim, and pretend like, oh no, it's the mainstream fucking agenda, and they're just pretending to play the victim a little bit. Christianity and veganism are two things that are very mainstream, but there's still a little bit of an element of, oh, I'm getting persecuted, so it has to be fucking. How much glucose do you usually take per day? Any fruits would you suggest to get as close to the result of your honey? I mean, you could try eating grapes, and grapes are a pretty good source, but it's still high fructose. Yeah, the book on Amazon, there's an electronic version too. Are testicles and intestines high in vitamin A? I think testicles are, but I'm not sure about the intestines. Do you have any legitimacy concerns with acerola cherry powder and camu camu powder on your Amazon? They seem to be a lot of color variation on the powder. Are you comparing freeze-dried powders, or are you comparing just powders in general? I'd rather be clean, organic, vegan instead of carnivore for a year. It's tough. The B vitamin deficiencies can really start showing in a few months. But if you were more reasonable and said, I'd rather be organic, vegan for 2 or 3 months than carnivore, I would agree with you. Yeah. What did someone ask about the glucose? I wouldn't use casein powder. I think I spoke about that. I think I did a video on whey protein, didn't I? Oh no, I would use I've used organic lemons too. You could use organic lemons. So if you're worried about the powders, you can get some organic lemons, which are kind of expensive. All right, guys, we'll wrap this up. Starting to talk about religion and a bunch of nonsense. So I'll see you guys for we'll do the video tomorrow as usual, and the next live stream will be on Tuesday. But you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Maybe we'll switch back to live stream on Sundays after the football stuff is over. I don't know. We'll see.